Welcome back to Grill This Smoke That, and today we're cooking a Boston butt, or what some call a pork shoulder. And we're going to be using the big green egg, so we're going to be doing a little smoking today. I'm going to show you the full process from setting up your egg all the way until it's ready to go on the plate. I will say there are a couple of different ways you can cook a Boston butt. A lot of people like the low and slow method, where you're cooking from 200 to 225 the whole entire cook. Sometimes they take 12 to 16 hours to get a Boston butt done. There's another method called the turbo butt, where you're cooking around 350 to 375 for the entire cook, and it takes around 6 hours to get that Boston butt done. I personally like to start mine around 250 and then work my way up. So around the stall, or possibly after I wrap, I might even bump it up to 350. I've tried all three methods. The low and slow tastes great, it just takes too long. The hybrid tastes exactly like the low and slow to me. And then the turbo gets the bark really hard and almost too crunchy for me usually. You probably noticed I'm wearing a really nice looking shirt. This is my Grill This Smoke That logo, and these shirts are available right now from Teespring. You can check the description to find a link to order your own. You know by now that I love a good joke. So what is the difference between black-eyed peas and chickpeas? The black-eyed peas can sing you a tune, but chickpeas can only hum us one. I'm ready to get this egg lit, so let's get it. I'm going to go ahead and get the egg set up for smoking. I'll link a video in the top right corner showing all the details for how I do this. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down to about there on the top and to about here on the bottom. This should be right around 250 or 300 for my egg. So I'm going to let it sit here for about 45 minutes to stabilize. I'm waiting on this white smoke to clear. If you smell it, it smells really bitter. And we're waiting on more of a clear blue smoke to be coming out of the top before we get started. That usually takes about 30 to 45 minutes after I get to this point, about an hour total. All right, I have the butt out of the cryovac, and I rinsed it with water and patted it dry with paper towels. So now I'm going to add my first part of the rub, which is a mustard. It does not impart flavor on the butt in any way. It simply acts as a binding agent. I'm going to have, notice I'm using one hand here as a clean hand, holding the mustard bottle, and one hand to rub it all in. Now that I've got mustard all over it, I'm going to open up my rub here. I love the Honey Hog from Meat Church. I'm not sponsored by them. I pay for all of my rubs. All right, so I have my butt fully covered with rub. I'm gonna let it sit here until the egg is ready. I'm not even gonna worry about wrapping it because I started this after the egg was already started. So this is now ready to go on the egg when the egg is ready for it. You can see our smoke has turned more into the blue colored smoke as opposed to the white colored smoke. And our temperature is around 225, so we're gonna go ahead and get our Boston butt put on. There's no need to burp your egg at this temperature. I'm going to just set the meat on the egg here. I'm inserting my meter probe right into the center. The Boston butt's been on for about 30 minutes now, and you can see our temperature has stabilized right at 250, which is where I want it. I always rotate my thermometer so the temperature that I want is at the 12 o'clock position, so it's easier to see from a distance. And we have the nice clear blue smoke coming off from the apple wood that we put on there. And we're just gonna leave it. We're not gonna have to do anything for the first 3 or 4 hours. When it hits about 160, I'll decide if I'm gonna wrap to speed it up or just let it ride. It'll really depend on the bark and how that's forming, but we will make that decision when we get there. So we're gonna take a look, and it's got some really nice color, some bark setting in good. It's got a long ways to go though. We'll check back in at 165. I don't wanna leave this open too long. As the saying goes, if you're looking, you're not cooking, but I just wanted to give you guys an update. It's got a nice bark on it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it so that we can get this finished in time to rest before dinner. So wrapping is exactly what it sounds like. I'm gonna lift it and put it on this foil and then wrap it up, and then we'll get it right back on the egg. So wrapping does a couple of things. It keeps the bark from getting too black, from burning on the outside. And it also helps power through the stall. So what happens in the stall scientifically is the meat starts to sweat and it evaporates. And as it evaporates, it cools the meat, similar to how your body functions. So wrapping it keeps all that moisture inside that's trying to evaporate and keeps it from cooling itself. When doing a Boston butt, once it's wrapped, you can easily bump your temperature up to 350. That's in the turbo butt range. If you want to research turbo butts, just look it up on YouTube or on any of the Big Green Egg forums and you'll see it. But we're going to bump it up to 350 to finish the cook, and we're not going to even peak again until it reaches about 200, and we'll start checking for doneness with the probe. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up, and I have my meter probe right here, but I'm going to go ahead and stick in this other probe just to see how tender it is. It should go in with 0 resistance, and it's nice and tender there. The only resistance I should meet is hitting the bone. I have about an hour and a half before people are coming over to eat, so I'm going to do what's called FTC. That's foil towel cooler. I've already done the foil. I'm going to wrap the whole thing in a towel, and then I'm going to put it in a cooler until about 30 minutes before everybody gets here. When they get here, I'll take it out and put it on the counter, but I'm not going to shred it until it's absolutely time to eat. When you take the butt off the grill, make sure that you don't use anything sharp because you don't want to puncture the bottom of the foil. I've used my meat claws before and then all the juice drains out. So you want to keep the juice in the foil and then wrap it in a towel, and then we're going to drop it in the cooler. And it's going to leak out some of the juice, but it's fine. If I were letting it sit for more than 2 hours, I'd probably use a nicer cooler than this. But this is going to let some of the heat escape so that it doesn't overcook. You can see from this graph from the meter app that there was no stall on this Boston butt, and I attributed that to going with the low and slow and then transitioning into the turbo butt when it should have normally hit a stall. Another indicator of a nicely cooked Boston butt is when the bone pulls out easily and clean. You can see I'm shredding this by hand, and I'm using those thick nitrile gloves, and ideally you would also have some of the cotton inserts. I'll make sure those are linked in the description and in the pinned comment so you can buy some for yourself. But this butt was super tender and juicy. Here's a closer look after it was all shredded up. You can see we've got some nice pieces of bark and then some of that pink color you get from the smoke. Let's eat, y'all. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. It really helps me out. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. I know you're going to want to see more videos of me cooking on the Big Green Egg and on the Blackstone griddle. Don't forget that merch is in. Look in the description of this video for a link to go and buy your own t-shirt if you're interested. Some of my other videos that I've recorded in the past are shown on the screen right now, and I will be posting weekly videos on this channel. I hope you guys have a great day.